All right, Jon Paul, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Jon Paul Crimi is a world renowned breathwork facilitator, speaker, and teacher who has guided thousands of people into healing through the power of breath. Once known as one of Los Angeles' top fitness trainers, Jon Paul's own journey through addiction and sobriety led him to discover breathwork as a profound tool for transformation. His teaching style is raw, real, and accessible, blending science, spirituality, and humor, my favorite, to help people release old pain, connect with themselves, and create lasting change. Today, he leads workshops, trainings, and retreats around the world, bringing breathwork to everyone from A-list celebrities to people simply ready to breathe their way back to wholeness. Jon Paul, welcome to Step Zero. I am so excited to have you here.
Step Zero. I love that. I didn't know that was the name of the podcast. I'm super
We're
excited.
this we're the step before step one. So this wishy-washy place of like, I know I need to get sober or maybe just want to get sober, but I can't. So how can I figure it out? So
Right.
we're here to tell them. We're here to tell them how it works.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for everyone, right?
Exactly.
Everyone's story is a little different, and we're talking about rock bottom, and I think sometimes you can hit rock bottom and then bounce, and then
Yes.
and I really feel like there's this window of opportunity that opens up when something bad or something happens in your life, and it doesn't have to be massively catastrophic. It doesn't have to be an arrest or something like that, or somebody dies. It can just be like a total humiliation. Like you woke up and you were just so humiliated at your behavior the night before that you're like, I can't do this anymore.
Yep.
And that window opens up and you're like, maybe I should do something about it. Maybe I should get help. And if you don't jump through that window, it closes back up again. Right?
Exactly.
And then you're like, no, everything's fine. I overreacted. I don't need to go get help. I'm totally fine. And so, I had much worse bottoms before I actually got sober. Much worse.
That is a story I hear so often. And that is why I want to jump in with you today. And I do want to say, I have gone to Jon Paul's breathwork, I think 3, maybe even 4 times when you're in LA. I wish you were here more live. So you have to go. You have to experience it. If you can't attend live, then you can go online and we'll talk about that later. But I
Great.
want to dive in today by you sharing that exact journey with us. So how did you get sober? And then what brought you to breath work? How does sobriety really fit in that path?
Yeah, it's a journey, right? So
Yeah.
I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and so I'm Irish, Italian, and Scottish, which means I like to drink a lot. I don't want to pay for it, and then I want to start a fight.
I've heard CIA, Catholic, Irish, alcoholic. Have you heard that? Like I'm
Yeah,
in the CIA.
yeah.
Yeah. So good.
And I'm from Boston, where everybody drinks and punches each other in the face all the time, right? So,
It's normal.
it was totally normal. I had two drinking and drivings, two DUIs before I was 21, but my best friend had four, so he had the problem, not me.
Exactly. I had so many friends who drank more than I did. And I was like, perfect. I'm not an alcoholic.
Yeah, I mean, every one of my friends around me was a total alcoholic maniac, all of them.
Yeah.
So I had no idea. And then I moved to LA when I was 23, and I was drinking with people from work. And I was like, what do you mean you don't do a shot with every beer? I thought we were drinking. Are we drinking here tonight or are we not drinking here tonight? Come on.
Exactly.
So, but you find your people, you find the right people to party with in every city, right? No matter where you move. And then I didn't get in any trouble when I first moved to LA. And I thought, oh, you know what? It really was Boston. Boston really was the problem. I got arrested a lot in Boston and I didn't get arrested in LA until I almost did, right? Until I came very close and then was sort of jumping the canal bridges in Venice with the cops in tow, like the Dukes of Hazzard. And, we were in front of my house and I just lost another close friend who had just died. And I was talking my way out of it with the cop. I somehow managed to talk my way out of it. Like we're literally in front of my house. I'm like, this is my house. And I gave him the sob story about my friend dying and all this stuff. And he let me go. And I woke up the next morning and the window was broken on the door because I couldn't get in, and my roommate's phone was missing, the home phone, and there was an empty packet of Coke on the table. I didn't even know where that came from. And my roommate was like, you're disgusting. And I was like, I know. I was like, what should I do? And she's like, go to AA, and that was my stripper roommate. But my therapist had suggested AA like months before, but somehow my stripper roommate carried way more weight than my therapist actually carried at the
Hey,
time. So I
man,
was
it
like,
takes what it takes.
she gave me my first big book, which I still have. And so I'm so grateful to
Amazing.
her, like going, yeah, I mean, I guess when your stripper roommate's like, you get a problem, like you need to do something about it. Because at the time I was taking probably 30, 40 Vicodin a day. And then I would go to this bar, which was right by my house on the Venice canals, this Mexican bar. God, now a Baja Cantina, right? I would go to Baja Cantina and I would get a shot and a beer and a shot and a beer. And then I would go put a Duraflame log on the fireplace and put on like Pink Floyd Shine on You Crazy Diamond and just drool on myself. And my stripper roommate would be like, what's wrong with you? You're disgusting.
So wait, tell us, what were you doing for work? How did you afford this?
Okay, so I was working at Gold's Gym in Venice, the
Okay.
mecca of bodybuilding. I call it the mecca of narcissism. And I had clients before my shift and I had clients afterwards. So I was a sales manager for Gold's in Venice and I had my own personal training business at the same time. And I should back up a little bit. What was happening was I have alopecia, right, which is hair loss. I have total alopecia, universalis, so all my hair went away. But at the time, I had just little bald patches on my head and in my eyebrows and stuff. And I was an actor and a fitness model. And I was like going to auditions and the casting director would be like, what's off about you? Like something's off. And I was like drawing in the black on, like trying to put in black on my head to not see the bald patches. It was awful.
Yeah.
And I was getting these shots in my eyebrows and in my head, these cortisone shots to try and keep my eyebrows from falling out and keep my hair from falling out. And they were really painful. Like you'd stick a needle in there and do it. And I get like 150 shots. So I started taking Vicodin before I'd go to the doctor to get these shots. And Vicodin isn't just, painkiller. It's not just a physical pain blocker. It's an emotional pain blocker.
Mhm.
So I realized like it was like I couldn't deal with what was happening to me. My whole self-esteem and self-worth was wrapped up in my looks, right? Because I was this handsome guy, like ridiculously handsome. It was too much. And I think God just knew it was too much power for me to have. And so I'm joking, but when your self-worth and your self-esteem is wrapped up in something like your looks or your marriage or your career, and that's stripped away, what are you? Who are you? And I was suicidal. I was ready to kill myself because I didn't think I could live like that.
Well, and it doesn't sound like you were taught how to deal with your feelings and emotions when you were younger.
You think?
Just checking.
Yeah, of course. I mean, again, I'm from Boston. I thought I said
Yep.
that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I was pointing out. I was like, for those of you that don't know Boston, this is how we roll.
So if you have a feeling, you got to push it down, do a shot, and punch somebody in the face, and the feeling will go away.
Exactly.
And then you keep it moving, keep it moving. So yeah, I didn't have any of the tools, and a lot of terrible shit happened to me growing up. I had, I'd been jumped when I was like 16 by four guys in their 20s, and I got knocked unconscious, and they kicked me while I was unconscious. I was in the hospital for a couple days. I got stabbed in the head when I was 19, and like lost half the blood in my body, and it was pretty bad. The doctor was stitching it up, and he was like, "Don't worry, kid, your hair will cover it." Little did he know I was going to get alopecia and become bald, and he was wrong. But so yeah, like I had a lot of horrible things happen, and I said this the other day in a meeting. There was a Freud quote that's like, the most important decision you'll ever make is whether you live in a hostile universe or a friendly universe. And I lived in a very hostile universe. And part of it was my own doing, a big part of it. I have good parents, and I grew up in a decent neighborhood, but I got into trouble because I think I sought it out, or I didn't know what to do with myself. And I was really uncomfortable in my skin. So when I drank or started to do drugs, I started to feel comfortable in my skin. In Boston's funny. I grew up in this it's a really nice town now, but a lot of people move there from the city down the South Shore. So I say it's like, it's a nice neighborhood, but they'll steal your bike, and like everybody still thinks they've got this city mentality. You shake somebody's hand and you got to make sure your fingers are still there. And so they like to be tough guys in like a nice middle class neighborhood. So I grew up in a kind of a rough way, and I lost a lot of friends growing up, and I didn't have any tools to process that grief.
I was going to say alcohol sounds like it was your solution.
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have feelings. I don't know how to deal with them. And I want to get rid of these feelings, or I want to push them down. It was also a fun lubricant to like engage with other people, right?
Connection and community, which is what we talk about, like you said, in the rooms all the time. I'm actually just craving that connection and community, but I think I need a drink in my hand in order to do it.
Yeah. Well, I'm very I don't know. I like to put on a show, right? I'm very out there, but the alcohol really helped me do that. Like I would have a couple drinks and jump up on a car and be like, I feel good, and everyone would jump in, and I needed that in the beginning, until I
Yeah.
didn't until it stopped working for me.
Yeah. So bring us back to that moment. You're working at Gold's Gym. You're kind of holding your shit together enough, but you're home taking, I can't believe you said 40 Vicodin a day.
Yeah, 30 to
And
40 Vicodin in a day.
And then your stripper roommate tells you need to go to AA, and you finally listened.
Well, I was trying to get sober on my own. I did 20 days and then I would drink. I'd get 30 days and then I'd drink. I get 20 days and I drink. And my friends were like, "Oh, you're not drinking again?" Like they get so annoyed by me. Like I try and go out with my friends but not drink, which is the stupidest idea ever. And so I tried for a good year to get sober on my own, and that's really where I saw my powerlessness.
And I want to like highlight that part because it's what this show is about, right? He can
Yeah.
take breaks 20, 30 days at a time, even go out with friends and not drink. But it still took you a year of breaks of wishy-washiness.
Yeah, I'm really motivated. I'm really self-driven. I was a sales manager at Gold Gym. I had my own personal training business on the side where I trained clients before and after. I was an actor at a school, at a method acting program where I actually ran the school. I had a working scholarship.
So on
So,
the outside, you have your shit together.
well, I'm doing a lot. I don't know if I have my shit together. I'm doing a lot. I'm hiding it really well.
Hiding it well.
Yeah, I'm hooking up with a lot of girls, which is great. So I think it's good. I'm living on the Venice canals.
Definitely means you don't have a problem if the girls want you.
I'm still,
I can't imagine how unhealthy those women were, but we don't have time to go
well,
there.
I was like, when I had hair, I was like kind of like Joey from Friends, where I just walk into a bar and be like, "How you doing?" And then when I lost my hair and girls stopped looking at me, it was like a sudden, massive change, and I was like, "Oh, this is what am I gonna do? Like, I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to talk to people. I'm gonna
Yeah.
have to talk to these women. Like, I'm gonna have to use game. Like, I had to develop a game, which is a whole other crazy topic. But so, I bottomed out, and I finally." Someone took me to a men's meeting, a men's stag meeting, recovery 12 step on a Saturday morning. And there was probably 30 guys in the room. And I heard guys saying things that I had always felt that I felt like I was alone with, and that I had never
Yes.
heard anyone say out loud. See, I'm getting emotional just thinking about it. And
That was literally what happened to me. Same exact thing. People were saying things I couldn't speak out loud, but I felt them. I was like, what? How is this possible?
yeah, yeah. And there was laughter.
Mm,
There was laughter, Caitlin. Like, I didn't know there would be laughter there. It's so important for me to laugh. The laughter kept me coming back. And the
yes.
honesty in the room gave me the courage to get honest with myself and with the other men in the room.
Oh, I have goosebumps.
So the laughter was so important. People were saying shit that was so bad and laughing about it. And I was just like, oh my God. And I fell into a really good group. I got really lucky. I mean, I didn't know these guys were professional comedians.
That's the joy of meetings in LA. We are so damn lucky.
Yeah. I miss
So
it.
many successful, amazing people. Now you're in Denver, right?
No, I'm in Bend. I'm in Bend,
Bend.
Oregon. Yeah, I'm in
Okay,
Bend,
yeah.
Oregon. I got back to LA, and the meetings are online. So some of those guys are online still on Zoom. And I have great meetings here. I have a meeting in my house and with some great guys. And so, yeah, it's, the meetings are what you make it,
Yes.
right? They're important, and they're still my foundation 25 years later. I tell people a lot. I think this is important because I'm sort of this well-known breathwork guy now, and people are like, breathwork. And they'll come to me for breathwork hoping the breathwork is going to get them sober. And I'm like, no, you can't get sober with breathwork. It can help massively, but like The mothership is recovery, is 12-ship. Like that's where you get sober. That's the language of recovery. Yoga's great, breathwork's great, meditation is great, but they don't speak the language of recovery in those things. I'm not in down dog. I don't hear about fucking alcoholism when I'm in down dog. Okay. I need to
Exactly.
hear about alcoholism. A lot of people just, they get sober in 12 step and then they drift away because now they're going to go to church or they're going to go to yoga and they're like, I've grown beyond that. And I'm like, you really haven't. You're a ticking time bomb a lot of the times. And also, if everybody came and got what they needed and didn't stick around to pass it on to other people, it wouldn't go on. It wouldn't exist.
Exactly.
So it's kind of, not kind of, it is selfish, right?
Yeah. And I like to say if your life is a puzzle and there's 100 pieces, yes, yoga, breath work, those are pieces, but AA, or if you want 12-step recovery of any kind, is one piece of the puzzle. I think I was so worried that it was going to consume my entire life and I wasn't going to be able to have my spirituality, my yoga practices, my breath work, all the things that also help keep me in recovery.
Yeah.
But I like to mention that because it is such a foundational piece. And if you remove that one piece, your puzzle isn't whole or it falls apart altogether. What I've seen is that people that pull away from meetings or their sponsor are the ones that relapse. So you're
Yeah.
right. It's about giving back.
Yeah, it's sad too. It's like, I meet people all the time and they find out I'm sober and they go, "Oh yeah, I tried to get sober and in AA." And I go, "Did you?" And they're like, "It didn't work for me." I go, "Oh, can I ask you a question?" They go, "Sure." I go, "Did you get a sponsor and work all 12 steps, including turning around and passing it on to someone else?" "Oh no, I didn't do that." Well, then
Exactly.
you didn't fucking do AA. What you did is you went to the gym and you walked around the gym and you looked at the equipment or you sat on the equipment and talked to some people. And then you're like, "Yeah, this doesn't work for me. I didn't get in shape." Yeah, you
Oh
didn't
my
fucking.
God, I've never heard that analogy, and that is spot on.
Well, I'm a former trainer, right? And so there it goes. But that's what you did. You went to the gym and you sat on the equipment. You didn't do any other workout. You didn't do the diet. You didn't do the cardio. You didn't get a trainer. I'll tell you something. So I worked at 7 different gyms and I signed up thousands, literally tens of thousands of people at these 7 different gyms over a 20-year span. The only people I ever saw stick with it and actually get in shape were people who hired a trainer. That's it.
Interesting.
I would sign up 200 people a month and never see them again
Wow.
unless they got a trainer. You need that at least initially to get started, to have someone to lay the foundation and to get you into a routine and have that commitment,
And to know what you're
have that in
doing,
your
you don't know.
schedule.
Yeah, you don't even know how to use the machine. Or, yes, to hold you accountable. That's why I'm a life coach. It's like week by week, I'm there to hold you accountable just for 1 hour a week. But it changes the trajectory of what you're doing.
It's the same in recovery. If you don't have someone standing in front of you going, "No, that's a terrible idea. That's not the love of your life. That's a rattlesnake." You know what I mean? Like, no, don't get the rattlesnake's name tattooed on your neck. That's a terrible, terrible. No, don't have a baby with the rattlesnake. You like literally just, you need
Yes.
someone in front of you doing that, helping you.
Yes, exactly. Okay, so you walk in the room, you have this men's meeting, and what happens from there? And by the way, for the listeners, a stag meeting just means men only.
Yeah,
I
or
think
women
it's
only.
or women only. Yeah, it can be a women's stag or a men's stag, but I like to point that out too because I think it's important you went to a men's meeting first. I think so many people get caught up. I go to mixed, I go to women's, but at the same time, I started with women's. I
Yeah.
started with needing to be in a group where I wasn't looking around because so many of us have sex and love addiction as well, but we won't go there today.
That's a rabbit hole for sure.
Rabbit hole.
So for me, yes, I needed to be in men's meetings only. And just the level of honesty that's going to be in that room is going to be different than a mixed meeting because you're not trying to look good for the other sex, right? For that.
Exactly.
You're not looking around being distracted, be like, "Oh, I wonder, what this person likes to do." So yeah, I went to men's meetings for my first couple of years and then I started going to mixed meetings and I got a girlfriend in AA and then we split up and she showed up to the meeting with another guy like the next night. And I was like, "Ouch, like I'm going right back to men's meetings. This is so painful. This is like high school." And so I go to mixed meetings now, but men's meetings were my foundation in the beginning. And I think
Exactly.
it is important to tell people that. It's a great way to get started.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I got sober in these men's meetings and I got a sponsor. I worked the steps. This is a great story. So when I got to a year, I wanted to sponsor guys, but you can't just make people be your sponsees. So I thought I got to do something to give back. That's the 12th step, like giving back. So I
Mhm.
had this idea to do Big Brothers of America, the mentorship program
Yeah.
where they set you up with some younger person who doesn't have a father or anyone in their life that's a male role model. So I went into applied for it. They check your references, they call people, they want to make sure you're you're not a pedophile or whatever. And so there's this process. And I'm like, I'm a year sober at the time. I'm going to be honest, no matter what. And I'm getting interviewed. It's like the final step. This girl's interviewing me. It's like a 2-hour interview. Sweet Christian girl, beautiful, asking me all these questions. And it starts to get really personal. And I'm like, be honest, no matter what, Jon Paul, if they don't accept you, they don't accept you. This is rigorous honesty, right? And so she starts to get really personal. She's like, do you own any pornography? And I was like, oh, I own like an acceptable amount of pornography. And she goes, what, like magazines? And I'm like, no, DVDs. Like, I'm a grown up. This is obviously before the internet. Like, this is 25 years ago,
I was
right?
going to say, for those of you in your 20s,
Yeah, like
DVDs,
DVDs.
CDs. They're CDs that played video. No.
I'm so old, like DVDs, right? So then she goes, do you own any toys? And I go, like dildos and anal beads? And she goes, no, like a bat or a ball. And I go, oh, I, no, I don't have a bat or a ball. I was like, that's a weird question to come right after the pornography question, right? Like toys, like that's where my mind went. So
100%.
we dated a little bit and then I became a big brother, which was so rewarding and so incredible.
Jon Paul, I have to stop you there and say we're ready for your book. Before we started this podcast, he said he's been working on a book for a while. I think we're all ready to read this book.
Yeah,
You dated her?
it's going to be intense.
Epic.
The working title right now is Booze, Brawls, and Breathwork.
Perfect.
Yeah, a guide from rock bottom to transformation, something like that. So, I became a big brother. And it was so good because it was so rewarding. Like, I didn't know. Everything I had done up until that point was all about me and what could I get? And like, if this doesn't benefit me, then why would I do it? Right. And I got so much out of it. I would go to Crenshaw, like the worst part of LA, lock my doors and be driving scared and pick this kid up. And I would take him to the Getty Museum or we'd go do paintball or the arcade or all this cool shit. And every time I dropped him off, I felt like I was 10 feet tall. I felt lifted. And it was so amazing. So I recommend doing that kind of service work if you don't have any sponsees, like getting into service. It's so powerful. But eventually I did get sponsees and started helping other guys. And that was life-changing for me.
I love that you took something that's so easy and accessible for everyone to do. Anyone listening all over the country can go be a part of Big Brother. If you have, I hate to say it, terrible meetings in your hometown, you've got to do some Zoom meetings and you're not even getting to see some people in person. I love the idea of giving back and being of service by volunteering or doing charity work.
Yeah, it's amazing. It will get you out of yourself and it will lift you up and it'll give you some purpose, right? That's what I have now in my life. I have purpose. A lot of people chase happiness and they think, oh, I'm not happy. Something's wrong. Well, you're not supposed to be happy all the time. I mean, if you're miserable all the time, yes, something is wrong and you need to figure that out and do something about it. But if you're one day you're happy, the next day you're not happy and you think, I'm not happy today, something's wrong. You're not supposed to be happy every day. You're not.
So this is a huge thing for me because Matthew McConaughey has a speech that's on YouTube and it's how to be happy or something is the title, but it's really not that you're chasing happiness. You're actually chasing joy and you can choose to find joy in any moment. Yeah, you can't choose to be happy all the time. It's not possible. We're human beings, like you said. It's not even necessary. But what we can choose is to find joy in every moment.
I think I like that and I like purpose. I like if I'm doing something that gives me purpose, if I'm helping people, then the days that I'm not happy, it's going to sustain me. It's going to carry me through. I have purpose in my life. When you have purpose, when you're helping other people, it gives you fulfillment. It fills you up.
Yes. And I want to go there right now. So how did you get into breath work? Because that is, I would assume, as well as being a father and a sponsor and a friend and all this stuff.
Yeah.
Breath work is what gave you purpose. So how far away from first getting sober to finding breath work, and what's that journey look like?
So I got dragged into, I say dragged because I reluctantly did it, sober companion work, right? I don't know if you've ever talked about this on here.
You can describe it for sure. Tell him.
Sober companions originated for like rock stars. Rock stars would get out of rehab and they need to go back on the road, and they needed some support on the road because the rest of the band's going to keep partying. Just because you're sober, bro, doesn't mean we're going to be sober. But they need to keep the money machine rolling. They need to keep the tour going. So they put a sober companion with the rock star on the road, on the bus. And that's how I started. I started with rock stars. I got dragged into it because I was a celebrity personal trainer and I was sober, and I really didn't give a fuck if you were a celebrity. I was like, I don't care who you are. Like, give me 20 push-ups, whatever. Right. Like, and so I wasn't enamored by the celebrity that much. And so someone pulled me into it, thought I'd be good at it. And I was, because I had a lot of skill sets besides being sober. I could train people. Used to be a chef. I could cook like a healthy meal or whatever. And I had a lot of different skill sets. So I brought a lot to the table. So I toured with a bunch of bands all over the world trying to keep guys sober on the road, which was insane. And then I started doing it for actors, and I would go on the movie set with people and television sets and stuff like that. And then just super ultra rich people, billionaires, stuff like that. I've strapped people down on private planes that try to open the door because they're out of their mind. I've pulled people out of crack houses in favelas in Brazil. I've done all kinds of crazy stuff. So I would go back and forth between a sober companion job and personal trainer, and I was trying to be a screenwriter at the time, and I'd written a bunch of screenplays, and I don't even want to go down that road. So I was really good friends with Matthew Perry, and we'd been good friends for a long time, and I was his trainer for a long time, and there was occasions where I would live with him for stretches to try and help him out. And he was dating this girl, and she brought him to some breathwork guy, some healer. The guy was a healer, right? And he told me about it, and I was like, that sounds like nonsense, Matthew. Like, it sounds like he was asphyxiating you, total horseshit. Like, he was telling me all the wild things that happened in the session. And he's like, I got you a session with the guy because I want you to experience it, because you're my only friend that would do this kind of thing, so we can talk about it, right? And I'm like, all right, if you bought me the session, I will do it, right? Fine. So I went and I had this experience with this guy. Now, it's not the breathwork that I teach now. It's a different kind of breathwork, but I still had like a very incredible, deep transformational experience. And what that did was it sent me down a rabbit hole of breathwork. What the fuck is this breathwork? Like, well, how is this out there? And I've never even heard of it. And it has these incredible things that it does to you, right? And so I started doing all different kinds of breathwork with all different breathwork teachers, and they were all not like me. They were very new agey and woo woo and said shit that made me cringe because I'm from Boston again, right? Like, I don't want to hear about spirit animals and the fucking Mercury in retrograde. You can't blame your messy life on Mercury in retrograde, right? It's not the fucking moon. You made it a mess. Like, put it back together. Don't blame it all on the moon. So I started doing these breathwork trainings and different things with different people and learning this thing. And my clients were like, dude, what's going on with you? You're a different guy. You're like present and happy and calm. Like, what, are you medicated all of a sudden? Like, I'm like, no, I'm doing this weird breathwork thing every morning when I get up, and it just turns off my brain, and I just get present, and I don't care about all the bullshit anymore. And they're like, show me it. And I was like, ugh. And so I started taking clients through and people, and I was at this men's AA retreat, and they were like, show us the breathwork thing. And I was like, so I took this group through, and they had a big experience. And I was like, oh, I guess other people are having the profound effect that I have. And somewhere in one of my own personal breathwork sessions, I had a moment, I had a realization, like, why doesn't the world know about this? And then I went, because it's been kept in these woo-woo new age circles with people, and other people don't want to go listen to them and do stuff with them. And I had just met Tony Robbins, which is a whole crazy story, through Matthew. And Tony invited me to his seminar, and it was life-changing. And I thought, if somebody did this Tony Robbins style and they did it like with an East Coast edge, and they were funny, and they put actual cool music to it, and they added all these elements to it. It would be amazing. So what I did was I created the class that I wanted to take. I took the technique and I rebranded the whole thing. And you've been to my class. I do cool music. I have heart moments that weren't there before, where you pull in gratitude and love at the end, because that's what I want you to leave with. And I do all this stuff. And it took a bit, but eventually it took off, and it was sold out in Los Angeles, and it got to be this big thing. It was crazy. Like, celebrities were having the assistants call to get in the class because they were sold out, and it just was this incredible thing. And just this full circle moment, a couple months ago, Tony Robbins people reached out to me and they asked me to do a class for Tony. And I got to do this class in this Tony Robbins event. And it was so beautiful. It's like 3,000 people in a Tony Robbins event. And it was like this full circle moment. Because when they called me, I was like, I got to tell you my Tony story. It was like, the story is that I was traveling all around with Matthew Perry, and we were going to these Kings games, the Los Angeles Kings. And it happened to be 2012, the year that the Kings won the Stanley Cup. So it's the final game. It's like Game 6, Staples Center. It's between periods. The Kings are up. They're about to win the Stanley Cup. We've been following them all season. We've been flying around to playoff games and hanging out with the Kings. It was this incredible thing. And we're in the VIP room underneath the Staples Center. And like Will Ferrell and Vince Vaughn are in there, and Zac Efron. And in walks Tony Robbins. And I go, holy shit, it's Tony Robbins. I said that to Matthew. And Matthew goes, really? We've been following the Kings all season. They're about to win the cup, and you're excited about a gigantic man right now? Every celebrity in LA is in here. Go meet the gigantic man. I go, I'm not going to go up to him and bother him. He goes, no, go say hi. I'm like, no. And I'm walking through the tunnel, and Tony looks over at me, and he goes, hey, man, how's it going? And I go, I never do this. I know everybody says that, but I don't. I go, I had your book in high school. I'm a huge fan. Like, he's like, what's your name? And what do you do? And we start talking, and he invited me to his seminar, and he like caught me. It was life-changing. And I got to stand side of the stage for 4 days. And in that seminar, I had this moment of awakening where I was like, I'm done with Hollywood. I'm done with trying to sell the TV show, sell the script, be in the Hollywood game. I'm just going to help people. Whatever God wants for me I'm just going to help people because I'm really good at helping people. And that's when I came back and found breathwork. And I'm like, this is going to be the tool that I use to help people. And so it was life-changing for me.
And I love that you said that you created what you needed, what you wanted, because I think that is where we find purpose. It is, what can I offer to people that I needed in my moment of greatest pain, that I needed when I was going through it. And I love how you were open. You were like, here it is. Just show me what opportunities, show me how I can be of service. And then the synchronicities of the game and meeting Tony, and then the seminar, and then right after. It's just, when you're in the flow, it flows.
Yeah, when you're in the flow, when you're doing the right thing, what you're meant to do, the universe shows up for you.
And staying sober. You can't, guys listening, you can't do any of this if you're numbing yourself with alcohol. Just FYI, you're not guided, you're not leaded, you're being cut off from that source, that higher power that is always there to guide you.
And it all makes sense now, because you can only see it looking back.
Yes.
So, like, I tried really hard to be an actor. I worked really hard at it. And I tried really hard to be a screenwriter. And I worked really hard, and I got really close. And it didn't work out. And now it all makes sense. Like, there's this thing that I didn't even know was available to me, that was possible for me, that I'm really good at. And that all the things that I did, from the acting to the screenwriting to the sober companion work to working with the musicians on the road, it all goes into that to make me really great at this thing that I do and to help people. And it all makes sense now. It wasn't even in my realm of possibility. I didn't even know what breathwork was. And here's an interesting thing. One of my classmates from my method acting program reached out to me when I started to blow up as a breathwork teacher, when I was all in the news and stuff. And he said, I can't believe you're teaching breathwork. It's so ironic. I go, why? He goes, because we did it at school and you hated it. You absolutely hated it. I go, really? I didn't even remember that. And then I kind of remembered it. And I just wasn't ready. It wasn't ready, or the teacher wasn't the right teacher. It wasn't the right time for me. I had to be sober first to really experience it. And so sometimes you're not ready. The timing isn't right. And I think that's true with relationships too, right?
Yes.
It's timing. So much of it is timing. We have to be ready. But you're not going to be ready if you're drinking and using. You're never going to be ready.
Exactly. Tell us how you met your wife. I think that you guys have the cutest little family.
Have you ever heard the story?
No, I haven't.
My God. So there's a guy, his name's John H., right? We'll call him. And I think you know him, right? So I watched this guy every 30 days raise his hand in the rooms because he'd relapse. And it was just, I watched it for like 5 or 6 years. And I'm like, this guy's going to die. It's really hard to watch. Like, I don't want to even get to know him because he's going to die. It's painful. And he comes to me one Saturday morning before the meeting and he says, hey, man, can I talk to you, please? Can we just get coffee? And I go, okay. And we sit down and have coffee, and he's broken his front teeth out because he didn't want to drop the crack rock when he was riding his bicycle, and he had a crack rock in his hand, and he fell off the bike, and he didn't want to drop it, so he broke his front teeth out. So he's missing his front teeth, and he's just a fucking mess. And he asked me to sponsor him, and I'm like, God, what am I going to tell this guy? Like, he's had all the gurus. I've seen him do everything. You know, people have like literally held him down to try and keep him sober. And so, you know, at first I didn't want to sponsor him. And so I sat him down and I gave him the book and the workbook that I use. And it's called, you know, As Outlined in the Big Book. And it's a workbook that takes you through and turns it into first person. And I said, here we go. You're going to do this writing and you're going to be at my house every week with the writing done. And we're going to read the book together and go through it. He goes, I've never done this. And I said, most people have never done it this way. He goes, no, I've never done the steps. And I went, what? That's how you stay sober. You can't just go to meetings. So I was like, huh. So we started doing the steps and he got 30 days and he got 60 days. And I was like, hey man, did you go to the meeting today? And he said, no. And I said, hey, you said you were going to go to the meetings like we talked about. And he goes, I think you're riding me too hard. And I said, no. He goes, I don't think this is working out. And I go, no, you don't get to fire me because you don't want to be accountable. You said you would go to any length. I'm holding you accountable. We're doing this. So he tried to fire me and I said, no, right? I probably threatened him physical violence. I think that it's really underestimated skill. So anyways, I'm joking. So anyway, he got, you know, 3 months, he got 6 months, he got 9 months, he got a year. And that meeting gave him a standing ovation, which I'd never seen. And it moved me to tears because I would have bet everything I had he wasn't going to stay sober. And I would have been wrong, right? And it was just incredible to watch and be a part of it. And it really showed me the power of the 12 steps. And so then one of the nights we were working the steps, he called me and I had trained like 9 clients that day at Gold's. I was exhausted. I was just like wanted to go home. And he's like, hey, can you come to my house tonight and work the steps at my house instead of me coming to you? And I was like, yeah, fine. So I went to his house and we worked the steps and I was feeling great. And I'm walking out and with him, he's walking me to my car and his neighbor walks in with a friend and I meet the neighbor, I meet the friend and I go, oh, the friend is really hot. And he calls me with her number like a good sponsee should.
Especially one that has over a year.
Yeah. And that is my wife of 17 years and my mother of my 2 children. And so I always joke, like, listen, people hear that and they're like, oh, I'm like, don't help people because you might get this beautiful wife, right? And people are always shocked when I have a beautiful wife. I'm like, I lost my eyebrows. I didn't lose my game. The game is still strong. The game is stronger than ever. But anyways, so it's not help someone you get a beautiful wife. It's help someone you don't know what God's going to put in your life. Right? Because when I do what I want to do, which is just stay home and watch football or people punching each other on the TV, nothing comes into my life. But when I get out of myself, when I go to a meeting, when I go to somebody's house, when I help somebody else, all these things come into my life. So I have to do the things I don't want to do. I think the most important skill is to do the shit you don't want to do. Do what you don't feel like doing. Contrary
action.
Yeah, you have to do that. And that's everywhere. Like, I don't want to go to the gym, go to the gym. I don't want to go to the meeting, go to the meeting. I don't want to do the step work, do the step work, right? I don't want to tell the truth, tell the truth. Tell the truth. It's the easiest thing to remember. So I do the things that I don't want to do so I can have the life that I want to have, right? If you do what's easy all the time, life gets hard. But if you do what's hard, life gets easy. And so I always say, you know, the life that you want, the life that you're looking for is in the work that you've been avoiding.
Yes. Exactly. And you guys, you're going to get, you got to do his breath work. It's phenomenal. You get all this in like, what is it? 1 to 1.5, I guess it's like 1.5 hours when you're
It's
live.
about an hour and 15 minutes on Sunday mornings. Yeah, I do it every Sunday on Zoom and there's a 5-day replay afterwards. So if you can't make the live time for whatever reason, you can just do the replay or you can do the live time and the breath work for the next 5 days.
Awesome.
And,
okay, wait. And so to go back to breath work, tell us how it helps people move through their emotions for especially people numbing with alcohol, right? How does breath work help us process emotions.
Sure. Well, most of the emotions that we don't realize are getting stuck in our body and our nervous system. The body keeps the score, as they say, right? And so the feelings, all that stuff that we didn't deal with gets pushed down. And there's a lot of stuff that people think they've dealt with or they've avoided or whatever that's in there. And as soon as they lay down and do the breath work, the stuff starts to come up and they start to feel those feelings. So it's a safe environment for you to process feelings. The most common expression is, holy shit, that felt like 20 years of therapy without saying a word. That's the most common thing people say after my class. Ironically, a lot of therapists send their clients to me. So they do the breath work and then the stuff comes up and then they go there and talk with their therapist and process all this stuff. So that's been amazing for me. And I thought they'd be threatened by that statement, but they're not. Yoga people are threatened by that statement for whatever reason. I'm joking, but yeah, it's like 20 years of therapy without saying a word. So it's all those unprocessed emotions and traumas and things that come up. And sometimes some of it comes up, some of it doesn't. It just depends. It's different every time you do it. You know, if you have grief, you're going through grief, breathwork is the best thing. If you have anger, if you have all these different things, like I was so angry and didn't realize I was angry. I didn't even know I was so angry until I started doing breathwork and clearing the anger out. And then anger is really just a secondary emotion. That it's the mask that sadness wears. So I didn't want to feel sad. Anger is much easier for me to feel. And it's also very acceptable for men, right? Like, especially a man from Boston to be angry all the time. Like, I was like Bill Burr. And so, but when I can get past the anger and allow the sadness to be felt that needs to be felt, I think it was Jung that said, unexpressed emotions will always come forth in uglier ways. And so people told me all the time I was overreacting. You're overreacting. You're overreacting. I'm like, and I was. I didn't even think I was, but I was. Now, it doesn't mean I'm never going to get angry and I'm never going to have an emotion, but it's an appropriate sized emotion for the situation. Sometimes anger is the right emotion. Sometimes it is. I'm angry that we have become a society that's acceptable with letting kids get shot in school. I'm angry about it. And so sometimes it is the acceptable emotion. What am I going to do about it? That's the question now. I don't want to walk around angry. So I lay down, I do the breath work, I allow the anger to be felt. And then underneath that is the sadness that kids aren't safe in the society. And it makes me sad. It makes me sad.
I think it's beautiful that you just said, I want to get angry, but I lay down. Like, how many people can say, I want to get angry, but I lay down and I do the breath work?
Or I am angry, so I lay down and feel the breath work. Like, I do feel angry. What am I going to do about it? Am I going to go put it out in the world? Put it out on my kids, on my wife? Or am I going to lay down and breathe? And when you can do that thing that is counterintuitive, that will help you, now you're doing the work. Like when I feel angry and I want to go off, but instead I lay down and I breathe, holy shit. Now you're really doing the work. Now you've created a shift. Now you have tools in your toolbox that you can use that will change your life.
Yes. And like you said, I didn't want to feel sad because I felt weak when I felt sad, when I showed emotion. That's how I was raised. Like, you will not feel that way. You are going to be happy and all of that. And so when I went to your classes, it was like allowed, like you said, had a safe space to allow myself to lay down and to just be whatever needed to come up could come up. And I would have tears streaming down the sides of my eyes. I just went to your last, I think, LA one, and I was processing a breakup and I thought I had done all the work because I'm in a 12-step program and I have a sponsor and I have a therapist and I've done all the things. So like, I've done so much work on this. I feel good about this now. And I laid there and I cried and I processed, and things come to mind that you speak throughout the session to bring me back to the present. And I think so much of what you were talking about earlier, when you're doing shameful acts, like your sponsee was doing shameful things, he had low self-worth. And so all of these things can be brought to either the mat or to a sponsor or to doing some work around it to get rid of that, because I was drinking over low self-worth and these things like sadness and, the whole gamut. But
yeah, I was taught if I have low self-worth, low self-esteem, then I need to do esteemable acts.
Exactly.
What are esteemable acts? And that's when I started to do Big Brothers, and I started to sponsor guys and help people and started to build self-esteem. And it took a long time for me to build that self-esteem. And even in the beginning of breathwork, people were coming up to me afterwards and be like, "You changed my life. You're amazing." And I'm like, it's the breathwork, which it is. It is the breathwork. But yeah, I finally like started to let myself feel like maybe I'm good at this. Like maybe I am helping people. Maybe I am doing good work in the world.
Yeah.
But I couldn't take it in. I couldn't hear it. I couldn't let myself feel it in the beginning. I was like, it was too hard. It's funny because that's the thing I wanted so bad. I wanted the accolades. I wanted people to say incredible things to me. And when they did, I couldn't allow it. And that became my work, was to allow it. I had a birthday a couple days ago, 2 days ago, and my
Happy belated.
kids wrote me these beautiful letters,
Mm.
and they just said these amazing things about me. And there's nobody I want to hear it more than from my kids. And I just sat there just like, oh my God, like I am the dad that I wanted to be, you know? And I never wanted to be a dad, which is crazy. Like I didn't want to be a father. I wasn't going to get married. I wasn't going to have kids. And thank God I don't know what's good for me sometimes. And, I just had this moment in a Tony Robbins event, the first Tony Robbins event, where we were pulling in moments like I do in my class. And I saw a future moment, and it was these two children, and I went, what the fuck? And I saw a girl and a boy. Yeah, it's wild. And I came home from that, and I was quiet for a couple days, and my wife actually got to talk for the first time in our relationship. And then I said, I think I want to have kids. And she said, what happened to Tony Robbins? And I said, I don't know. I had this like vision with these two kids, and I was like, I'm done with the Hollywood stuff, and I think I might want to have children and like have that experience. Like, I don't know if I want to miss out on that. So I had to convince my wife. And we have those two kids. They look just like that vision.
Oh, I have goosebumps all up and down my body.
Yeah, they are my purpose. And it's the most important thing that I do is be a dad. I got to take off the summer, except for my online classes, and just focus on being a dad and spending time with my family because they're never going to be these ages again. I don't need to be the biggest breathwork teacher in the world at the expense of my kids not knowing who I am.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And that you took off the summer and you took time just with them and you're being a present, sober parent. I talk a lot about being a sober parent on this podcast because I didn't have one growing up. So it's really meaningful. I love the sober dads when they're in the rooms. And yeah, it's just incredible. So tell us a little bit, just back into the breath work for a second, about have you ever had a client who's had a transformative experience in regards to any addiction?
Yeah, all of them. I mean, there was a stretch there in Los Angeles where half the room was sober, and a lot of like famous sober people and coming up to me after the class and telling me these incredible stories. And because it's so much about self-love and self-worth, right? And the thing is that everyone feels like they're not enough in some way. Right? I'm not thin enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm not pretty enough. I'm not rich enough. I'm not famous enough. And knowing that you are enough, like the breath work gives you that I am enough. It brings that I am enoughness. And it gets rid of that lie in our head that tells us we're not enough. And so it doesn't matter how famous you are or how rich you are or any of that stuff. When you lay down and do this breath work, it will bring you to that place. And that's the problem with addiction. Addiction is like, I am not enough. So I need something from the outside to make me feel better. Whether it's booze, drugs, sex, food, whatever. I want to take something outside of me to fix me on the inside. Whereas breath work is literally working from the inside out. You hear that in 12-step in recovery. You got to do the inside work. You got to show me how to do the inside work. Yeah, okay. It's do the steps, do all the stuff, and then do some breath work. That's the inside work. And it's not a fucking bubble bath. The bubble bath is the reward for doing the hard work. The hard work is doing the steps. The hard work is laying down and doing the breath work. It's uncomfortable at first. And so the reward afterwards is the bubble bath, is the chocolate, is the whatever.
Well, and what's so crazy is like, we're talking about breath work here. We breathe every day, every second. We're taking breaths. And so I really encourage people who have not heard of you to go check out Jon Paul's website and his classes.
It's not what you think it is. Like
It's
people
not.
say, I've been breathing my whole life. How am I going to come to your class and breathe and it's going to be so transformational? That's what they can't wrap their brain around. I totally get it. I felt the same way. I couldn't wrap my brain around. I've been breathing my whole life, but this is not that, right? Finally, there's these scientific studies coming out that are showing when you breathe in this specific way, when you breathe at a faster pace in a certain way through your mouth, doing this circular breath work that I teach, it is similar, almost exactly the same, if not exactly the same as psychedelic experiences, which psychedelics are the new rave now. Everyone's talking about microdosing and ayahuasca and ibogaine. Great, whatever. I don't want to judge it, but let me tell you something. When you do those things, the power is in the plant. Right? When you do
Yes.
breath work, the power is inside of you. The power is in the breath inside of you. I can't do ayahuasca and pick up my kid from school afterwards on a Tuesday afternoon, but I can lay down and breathe for 20 minutes and go get my kid from school and be an awesome dad. So it's a much
Dude,
real.
this is it. I love that you're saying this because people are like, why have you never tried mushrooms? Like, why aren't you doing ayahuasca? And I go, because you can do all of that naturally.
Yeah.
And I have
Breath
found
work.
that from breathwork.
They are literally coming out with studies now. I've been posting them on my Facebook and all that stuff of saying it's as effective as psychedelics, and you don't have the repercussions and all the other stuff afterwards. You don't have to puke in the jungle or go to some guy's house in Venice. Your shaman named Steve in Venice. You don't have to go there and like deal with that bullshit. You can just do a
100%.
breathwork class on Zoom, and you'll get the same effects.
I love that you just said, and you can pick up your kids from school after. Like, how can you can't say that about any other drug. And this is absolutely a natural, feeling of exactly what that brings.
The
So
power is in your breath. The power is inside of you, and you can access that. But people can't wrap their mind around how powerful it is. My whole job as a breathwork teacher is to do a really good presentation to prepare people properly for how intense the experience is going to be. And they don't listen. They don't take me serious. They're like, I'm just breathing, dude. And I'm like, okay, you're going to get fucked up by this, but you didn't pay attention. You didn't listen. And then they start freaking out because they're like, this is way more intense than I ever expected it would be.
yeah,
And
I've
I'm
had
like,
the hands.
yeah,
What do they call that when your hands
tetany when your hands cramp up. I call it
Yeah.
gang signs. But yeah, but
See, this is the fun you have in breathwork. And you're right. It doesn't have to be so serious.
this is important. There are 0 reported incidences of anything bad happening during this type of breath work. 0. I've never had anything bad. I've had people freak themselves out. I've had people get a cramp, whatever, but nothing bad, right?
Yes.
And this is not Wim Hof breath holds. It's a different thing. So it's a completely different thing.
And again, if we had time today, I would have you show them the technique, but I'm really going to encourage people to go check out your actual class.
So you need to be
100%.
guided, at least your first time, right? At least your first time, so you know what's going to come up and all the different things and how to do it properly. And also how to pull back if it gets to be too intense, right?
Exactly. And if people are listening to this in the car, you do not do this while you're driving people.
No,
You need to
don't
be
do it in the
laying
car.
down.
Don't do it in water, in the bath, on a float, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? No, don't do it near water at all. You need to be laying down like on a yoga mat. That's how you do
Exactly.
breath work, on your couch.
And again, you don't get
Just come to
angry
the
and
class.
react. You
class-
lay down.
The
Yeah.
class is $29. I have $10 off the first class, so it's $19 your first time. It'll be one of the trippiest experiences you ever have for $19.
And what's the website? Tell us.
Which is just the cost of a latte in Los Angeles now.
Exactly. An Erewhon smoothie.
Yeah, exactly. I had that. I had the Justin Bieber smoothie, and
That one's $30, isn't it? Or is
yeah,
it 20?
Haley Bieber, yeah.
Dude.
Which is like, Justin Bieber slapped me in the face, but we're not going to go down that road. So
We don't have time for that story
Yeah.
today. Come back for more. All right. So at the end of each episode, I'm so sad this is closing, but I love to do these rapid fire questions. They're just a couple things. So what is one book or teacher who has changed your life?
wow, that's a good one. It would be a toss-up between Pema Chodron, When Things
Mhm.
Fall Apart, and
Yes.
Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul.
Yes.
Those are the 2 books. Like Michael Singer, The Untethered Soul, like I read that and then I reread it. And same thing with Pema Chodron, When Things Fall Apart. Like if you're going through a relationship breakup, that book saved my life.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. All right. What's your go-to grounding ritual before you facilitate a breathwork class?
I like to take a couple deep breaths where it's 4 seconds in through my nose and then exhale through my mouth like this. And I like to thank the universe for this opportunity. Like your brain doesn't know the difference between fear and excitement. That's why people love horror movies. And so sometimes I get a little nervous and I go, no, you're not nervous. You're excited. You're excited for this opportunity. You're going to change some lives in this room right now. That's an opportunity. That's amazing. So I did this class in Switzerland and last year, and it was 1,000 people, and there was like cameras and screens like Tony Robbins style, and they had someone hyping up the crowd. I was like, oh my God, like this is crazy, and this big huge thing. And I was like, got nervous, and I started to do that breath. I started to go, shh, thank you for this opportunity. Like, let me just go out there and change somebody's life, please.
Yeah, you're a clear channel, again, living your purpose. So it feels good to fulfill that purpose, but you're allowing whatever is working through you to do that work. Beautiful.
Thank
Okay.
you.
What is something that sobriety gave you back that you might have not expected?
You know, I still am. I'm very sensitive, very emotional. You've heard it on this podcast. And I was that way when I was young. And I tried to not be that way. And so sometimes your greatest gift can be your greatest wound, right? Or your greatest wound can be your greatest gift, rather. And so it allowed me to be comfortable in my vulnerability in front of people. And that is such a gift because it gives other people permission to be vulnerable, right? Because what comes from the heart goes to the heart. And it allows me to speak from my heart and be vulnerable. And I never wanted that. But sobriety gave that back to me.
It's so true. It resonates with my soul. And I have heard it, like you said, on this podcast. I've experienced you live. I'm so lucky to now get to call you a friend. And I think with the work that you're doing and the fact that you're allowing that through is letting other people see that light and maybe them being brave enough to start sharing from their place, because that's what got me sober. Was like you said, when we first started this episode, walking into those rooms, hearing people share their truth and being vulnerable, then allowed you to do that. And what you're doing today to uphold your sobriety is giving that gift back. And I just love to see it and hear it.
Thank you.
All right. Last one. What's one message you want every sober or sober curious listener to take away from breathwork?
From breathwork. I mean, you have to do the work. There's work in the breath work. So it only works if you show up and do it. And it's going to be different every time for you. And the journey's going to change, just like sobriety. But you have to show up and do it because nobody can do it for you. Nobody's going to come into your life and put their hand on your head and magically transform your life for you. If you're looking for someone to save you, look in the mirror. You're the person that's going to save you. So show up, do the work because you're worth it. You're worth it.
Absolutely. And try one of Jon Paul's classes. So where, again, can they find your classes, your online courses, your retreats, your trainings, your Instagram? Tell us where we can find you.
It's all under Breathe. I have two websites, but you can find it all under Breathe with JP. And it's BREATHE with WITH JP. People put breath with JP and can't find it. It's Breathe. There's an E at the end of Breathe. So breathewithjp.com. And you can go there and there's, a thing for the classes and there's a thing for the trainings. I teach other people how to teach breath work. So I'm passing this on so other people can go to, it's a ripple effect. I'm creating all these teachers. I've trained over 2,000 people in this thing. And people will say, do you know a breathwork teacher in my area? I can't find one. I'm like, you're the breathwork teacher in your area. If you can't find someone, that's an amazing opportunity for you to create something and build something that has purpose and fulfillment. And as a byproduct, you're going to make great money for it. Breathwork teachers get paid well. And so, but that's not the end in itself. It's help people and see what God puts into your life. So I teach people, I have trainings, I have them in person like once or twice a year, and then I have them online as well. And then I have online courses. The 5-day emotional detox is really powerful, especially if you're in sobriety. It's this really intense course where you do this work combined with breath work. And it's the things that have transformed my life. So that's a course that I have. And then I do the class online every Sunday with a 5-day replay. So go to Breathe with JP, spend some time navigating the menu. Don't just go to the contact and be like, how do I do the class? Like, you navigated over it. Do the work.
I love that. Thank you for telling us. And did you mention your Instagram? Is it the same? Breathe with JP?
I think it's under Jon Paul Crimi, JonPaulCrimi.
And I'll put all the links in the show notes so people can find you. Yeah, Jon Paul, thank you so much for being here today. I really hope the listeners heard something that will keep them coming back. I'm assuming I'm going to have you on again. This is too good not to.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. You're a great interviewer. I've done a
Oh,
lot of podcasts, and you're really good at this.
thanks. I receive and accept that compliment.
You
Thank you.
should.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.